right. All right. So I am here with my dear friend, Joanna Bruni, and fitness mentor. Joanna, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your family, your business, just a little bit about who you are.
Well, I am 47 with a newly 6-year-old and 8-year-old. Yes, you heard that right. A wife of Christopher Bruni in just outside of Denver, Colorado, just east of Boulder. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I was here, met Cassidy through a number of different venues, but we were working out together all the time. It was wonderful. So started with
20 years ago.
20.
Almost. Not quite.
Oh my gosh.
Not quite.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I started karate when I was 19. And that evolved into, you're going to remember this, some of you guys, Taibo. So Billy Blanks was huge. Middle Tennessee didn't have any kickboxing. So they're like, you want to do it? And I was like, yes. So I had no clue what I was doing. I just took karate and put it into a fitness program. Was pretty horrible, really. Fun for me, but everybody's like, what are we doing? What are we? So over the years, it evolved. I got a lot more training and I got my certifications, really branched out into drawing in elements of well-rounded fitness. It took a minute though, so I basically just killed people for the first couple of years. And in turn killed myself. So I was teaching sometimes 7 classes a day, doing everything with everyone the whole time. Do not do that anymore. So with all of that impact in excessive joint impact, mainly it was kickboxing, heavy boot camps, stuff like that. I degraded my hips and my shoulders. So I've had 2 surgeries on the shoulder, 3 on my hip. Have a torn hip, have a torn knee currently, torn shoulder currently, not actually doing anything to surgically change those. So what I've had to do, and I have a titanium hip now, 5 months out of a new hip replacement.
Amazing.
So I've really spent the last 15 years on reforming how I work and reforming what I teach other people and what I do with myself. So it's including now yoga, Pilates, bar. I still do calisthenics as I am able. I still do weight training. We still do kettlebells. We do the BOSUs. We just do it in a way that helps support women's health who are usually in their later 30s to 50s, 60s, because we need to work out different as we age. It's just what your joints and your frame needs. So now I have my studio in my basement, which was wonderful. So I have my kids upstairs with a nanny, and I get to have people come into my house. And it's a wonderful place that I get to control what we do. I'm no longer under the pressure of push, 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 kill him, kill him, kill him. That was where I was teaching mostly. So that's not my mode of action anymore. So really it's a lot of healing diastasis recti, because a lot of us have that. It's pelvic floor prolapse. It is joint injuries or limited mobility. It's lack of flexibility, because even though we were cheerleaders and we could touch our nose to our knees, that is not as easy anymore. And that mobility is what stiffens our bodies, immobilizes our joints, and then we start getting compensation issues and we don't move very well. And then when we move, we're in pain, so we don't. So it's just this snowball effect. And so now I want to give freedom to the women. It's all women. I don't train men in my house anymore. So it's a safe haven. They love to come. It's a tribe. It's a community, which is really what we need as women. Men need it too, but women, we are designed to be in community. And when we can have somebody support us and say, hey, how was your son this week? I remember last week. That is what adherence really means. You don't just work out to get healthy. You don't just work out to lose weight. You don't usually stay on it. Like I've experienced, I won't stay on it. If I have women that are with me, supporting me and walking with me, I'll stick to that because I want the community too. Maybe first, before all the other stuff. So.
Thank you. Man, we can take this so many directions. Yeah, I really just wanted to invite Joanna in. So, we are an online community of women fitness community. So our focus is working out online. But we are very much kindred spirits in the holistic approach. So I want to get into that in a minute, but first, just wanted to, because you have had such a vast array of fitness experience and have been doing it for so long and are so knowledgeable about the body and the muscular system and how it all fits and flows together, and not only your personal experience but your extensive experience working with women through all walks of life and through injury. I did just want to have a little bit of discussion to encourage, because we've got women that are a part of this community from all walks. We've got women in their 70s, and we've got women that have young babies that are young and still are still wanting to that intensity. So, and we really do offer a variety of options here, and I'm a firm believer. I just did a blog post on the components of fitness, and they are not just one thing, but cardio, and there's lots of ways to achieve that.
Yes.
Muscular strength, muscular endurance, agility, balance, flexibility. I know a lot of it starts with core. So, we're trained in the same model, even though our experience is a little bit different. But in the importance of developing first and foremost that core stability and core strength. So I don't really have a question initially, but just speak to us a little bit about that. And, I even know, I've always been a fitness person, so I've always similar to you, but I'd love to speak to the people that maybe are not. And really, sometimes, we're all coming at it from a different place, from a different wiring, and so speak to us a little bit about why it matters. And we talk a lot in this community too about listening to your body.
Right.
And I know you're big on that too. So, just encourage, let's encourage the women on, on any of those. Take it any direction you want.
I love that you just said that, because we don't ever have one type of friend, and the diversity in our life is what really supports us. So Cassidy and I are a unique breed of people. We love to work out. It's kind of lifeblood for us. I have plenty of clients that are like, I've never been that. And that shame sets in because they're not like us. But I would never want all of the same friends, or I would not want my husband to be just like me. That is not necessary for you to have the same intensity or drive that we do. It's all about balancing, including fitness and healthy, actually, lifestyle. It's not just eating, it's everything. It's what you have in your house and how much time you spend on electronics. Like, we can go so many different directions. But insofar as it's about exercise, there are days that what I could do would be a 5 to 8 minute movement. And that is it. And that is what my body called for. With healing these joint issues, I was told time and time again by my practitioners, you push too hard. You do not give yourself space to be where you are. And that actually was less of a body issue, more of a mental issue.
Yes.
So for me, I had to change the way I attacked all this stuff, because it was such a life-giving thing for me, but my body wasn't where it used to be. And so I went to hot yoga the other day, and I started back, and I used to crush it before I had 5 surgeries within a 4-year span. And so I went in, and I did not go in front of the mirror. And I went in front of the door where I couldn't see myself. And the teacher said, oh, I've got a spot in front of the mirror right here. And I said, actually, that's not a good place for me to be right now. I'm going to listen to what you're coaching, and I'm going to slowly move through the movements in order to not set expectation on my body that is not there. So I give that example because when you're watching Cassidy move on the screen, a lot of my clients would compare themselves to me and get discouraged. And so when I began to have those injuries and those places where I had to slow down, I realized how important it was to encourage each and every person exactly where they are. There is always an opportunity to reach, because we always want to be growing some way. Being stagnant doesn't feel good. It doesn't help us, but it doesn't feel good. Body, mind, or spirit. So as I find something new that I can do, that consistency that Cassidy talked about earlier, that's all it is. It really is consistency. And when you have a setback, you just reach out to the community and you get the help you need to help with the consistency, and then you start back where you are. In 3, 4, 5 weeks down the road, you won't be where you started. Nobody will. No matter how many injuries I've had, I never am staying at the place I was. It just is the timeline that I have to give myself some forgiveness. So I have a torn meniscus.
I was going to ask you. Let's take a minute and talk real specifically about how do you listen to your body? Like I've got, we've got a couple of gals actually dealing with high hamstring injuries. We've got major knee issues. We've got some back. So, how do you learn to listen to your body? How do you know when to rest? How do you know what's okay to do? Speak to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, because I didn't know.
Right.
So I've come full circle. I never listened, and hence being torn. My muscles or my joints would tear. My tendons and connective tissues would tear. Because if your muscles are saying, I'm tired, and you know where they're saying that, then you give the appropriate rest. When you don't, that's when you injure. Or you have a major issue, a major accident or a fall. Both are somewhat preventable. You are going to look at how am I balanced? When there's an imbalance in your body and you know it, I've got a much tighter left hamstring than I do on my right. When you notice that stuff, that's when the light bulb goes off, and you get with Cassidy or you get on YouTube and you start saying, exercises and releasing movements for a tight hamstring. Now we have so much information accessible to us that we don't really have to sit in the dark. You don't ever really have to go to a bunch of practitioners. You start slowly and you start mentally making notes of your body. So as I was balancing that hip, like 2 surgeries and then a replacement, my knee blew up because I was crutching, using my other side. This is the imbalance we talked about. So you are probably dealing with one side of an injury and then the other side is being dominant. That is just how God made our bodies so that we can have support. The problem with that is the dominance becomes rote. It becomes instilled and then it stays. And we have to retrain the body to balance back out. So what I learned to do is my range of motion in my knee was very limited. And for about a year, it had to be. And that was okay. I had to choose to be okay with that. My hip would not do deep knee bends or deep squats because my hip mobility was unstable. So what I did is what I could do. A lot of my squatting flipped to the floor. And I would do donkey kicks. You know what those are, right? Put a little infinity band or those circle bands on my thighs, and I would strengthen my glutes. The 2 major muscle groups that I have learned that have to be strong to support everything is core, which makes up a whole lot of muscles, and glutes.
Which are actually a part of your core.
Yes.
Glutes, all of those core muscles, diaphragm, back, that's all actually, as you know, considered core.
Yes, and Pilates, our core is from diaphragm to the top of the knee. And a lot of people don't think that. They think just the rectus abdominis, just the washboard. There's so many more muscles. And so educating yourself on that is key first. And then for women who've had babies, I would say the back issues that I have learned have been a lot of the prolapsed organs from birthing, the cesarean incision cut, and then the diastasis recti that is still there.
And that's when your abs pull apart during pregnancy. And and then you've got to start foundational. You start with that foundational breathing, with the pelvic floor strengthening. We talked a little bit about that in our workouts.
Great.
But so we've talked a little bit too in the community about just the holistic approach. And I've had to learn from my 20s to my 40s, and really having babies helped me learn it a little bit quicker. But I do much better when I work out 4 days a week and give my body that rest. And I know so many coming from all different places, that is not what you're taught. That's not what's ingrained. It's that you work out 6 days a week, or that it's better. Like, I even get mad at my Apple Watch when it's always telling me that I could have a 7 workout week, and I'm like, I'm not going for a 7 workout week. My muscles need rest. I can find such a much healthier place of balance in all the areas, with my eating, with my stress level. Yes, exercise is fantastic for all of those things, but rest is equally important. You know, and then, and I know you're a big advocate of this also, but we've had several chats here in the community also about taking a holistic care approach, and we talk about chiropractic care, you know, and here we are filming at Champion Wellness, and so those of you that live near me in Hendersonville have access to people like Heather Champion, and similar you to where you live, that can help make sure that you're adjusted correctly, and then can help, you know, assign those exercises, those stretches that are going to not stretch what's too tight, strengthen what's overstretched and needs to be strengthen those imbalances that Joanna's talking about. But it is a holistic approach. So, you know, learning to listen to your body, and that doesn't mean you have to totally give up either.
Right.
It doesn't mean you have to completely quit.
No.
Or that you should.
I don't think you should. Unless your doctor says you should.
Right.
I went to the water, and I am a huge proponent of water. I am a terrible swimmer. I have forced myself for 3 years to learn to swim because I teach aqua fitness, and most of my clients can swim, and I can't. So it is a humbling experience to get in and do something that I am not good at when it comes to fitness in the water. But I have seen so much healing, and the water pressure, we're now learning, like there's so much research to support what she's saying, so much research to support rest. I work at Lifetime Fitness as well, and we do a lot of biologics and a lot of metabolics, and they actually have testing to tell your body, oh, you should be working out right now. Your bloodstream is telling us that's a bad idea. Cortisol's out the roof, and we have all the science now to support that. But also, where there's so many modalities. So
right.
What if I can't work on land because gravitational pull's too strong and my joints hurt? Get into the water. Rec centers, YMCAs. There's ways to do it economically that give you freedom to one baby step at a time. Get yourself buoyant, your mobility is more free in the water, and then you work your way back up to where you'd like to be again. It really is sky's the limit in this culture right now. I like what she said so much about balance, because we're a faith-based community, and God balanced. God didn't have to balance. He's God. He took a day of rest as a representation and a model for us. So I really believe with fasting and with rest, we have a model for it that as we follow that model, we just can't lose. If you are a believer and you believe that God gave us a playbook, then as you follow it, you cannot lose.
I love that so much. You know, and so the encouragement here, and we're going to hit on just briefly hormones, but as briefly as we can. So the encouragement here is that there is something for you wherever you are. Yes. Whatever age you are, whatever you're dealing with in your body, it may have to change and look different than it's ever looked before, but it doesn't mean you have to quit. Mm-hmm. You may have to go from running to walking. Yep. You may learn to work in those hills. You may learn to work in those circuits. You may learn to work in those things. You may shift from jumping to low impact, mm-hmm. you know, but you can still work in those weights. Then as you age, you continue to incorporate the yoga and the Pilates and the bar and the water. I love that. Yeah. So, you know, and that's one thing I love about this online community is it can be an addition to anything else that you're doing. You can still have that gym membership where you're in the pool. You can still be out walking and jogging, and then have just a wide array of workouts. And Joanna, we've got a couple in the video library that she's done for us. And I try to introduce you to so many different modalities so that you have access to try those and to find what's going to work for you. So Joanna, you are 47. You're a little bit ahead of me with the hormone change, but obviously that's a huge part of being a woman. And talk to us a little bit about, you know, just I was thinking when you were talking about bringing the intensity down a little bit, like that's our bodies need that when we start into that hormone change. The intense exercise, there are times of the month that's going to be okay, But when your hormones are changing, you often need to scale that intensity back.
For sure. And as we know, with estradiol and estrogen, progesterone, as it starts to do this, and I am very well acquainted with it, I had a mass in an ovary that needed to be removed, but during that time, I started fluffing. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
You know, like what we call them liver airbags, the muffin top. And I just kept fluffing. And I thought, well, I haven't changed anything, and it's not a significant shift that quickly. So that actually gave me a little bit of a light bulb to go get checked out. And I did get an ultrasound and found there was a mass, and my hormones were feeding that. So a lot of times your body is talking. It's telling you. Now, the fluff comes whether we like it or not. It is just part of the aging process as those hormones start moving. So part of this is giving permission to your body to get older when everything in front of us tells us it doesn't have to happen. It's just wrong. And that's not godly, because we're made to evolve and change as we get older, and all the information coming at us is a very difficult thing to balance and to give ourselves grace with. But give yourself grace. First of all, give yourself grace. Your body's going to change. Love the body you're in, and ask for that ability to accept that and still challenge it.
Right.
So I knew something had to change. I also, and Cassidy is such a good inspiration for this, I gave up dairy in my coffee. It was a hard hit for me. But the food and the hormones in the food, I'm organic pretty much 100% of the time, but some of the foods don't agree with me anymore. And dairy in my coffee was helping not feel good. I was getting congested. I got the fluff happening. The hormones and the food interact with each other, which is a little frustrating, but it's a season and it's time to shift. So I've shifted off of dairy. But what I want to encourage you with is the hormones can be supported with lifestyle shifts. We talk about Vitex berry and other natural things. Bioidentical hormone help. There's plenty of doctors out there right now that'll help with that. But also changing the way I worked out. I do not run anymore. Joints prevent that, but also I need things become brittle as you change in that hormone. You want to have lubrication in the joint as much as possible. So any kind of severe impact is a little bit antithetical to what you're dealing with as the hormone shift. I will say though that bone density is an important thing. So I'm dealing with that with my mother. She just got a bone density test and it was way low. Why? Because she stopped lifting and moving weight, because the bones need pressure.
Yep.
So you need the weight. You can't be buoyant all the time. The water is a fantastic option, but I tell most of my water clients, it's not your only option.
Yeah.
You need to
It's a
get
piece
back
of the
upstairs. You need to be body weighted minimally. And then you also actually need to increase some weight that's outside your body, because your bone density needs to be continuously stabilized, and that's the number one way to do it.
Yeah, and I think the perfect way to conclude this is just to encourage you. God made our bodies so incredibly, but also there is a lot of common sense.
Yeah.
So trust that.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. If something feels off, push the envelope. Ask the questions.
Yeah.
Keep a journal. Keep
Yes.
track. I've started keeping track of my hormone cycle, my monthly cycle. So I know exactly when I have a headache, I can pinpoint it to what day of the month it happens. And it happens when the progesterone and estrogen fall a few days after my cycle. And so it's all pieces of the puzzle. There are many pieces to the puzzle. So don't get overwhelmed. Be encouraged that our body gives us the clues that we need. And if we take the time to tune in, to keep track, to ask questions, to keep asking, that's a biblical principle.
Right.
Ask
It really
and keep
is.
asking.
Yep.
And it is, and then be willing to make the adjustments, to be willing to make the shifts.
The heavy whipping cream in your coffee every
There you go. There you go.
Confession. We are very human,
Yep.
very normal people.
Yep.
So it's oat milk, friends, or it's coconut milk. That's what we're going with it.
That's right. Joanna, you're such a gift. Thank you so much for your time, for being here with us, for being willing to share and encourage the community. I can't wait to share. We recorded a couple of videos this morning.
So fun.
She is a gift and a deep well of faith. in Jesus and relationship and friendship and just holistic wellness. So y'all, she keeps me inspired, and I just was so excited to share her with you. So I hope you're encouraged. If you have questions, y'all, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to connect you with Joanna. If you want to talk to her, we will definitely have her back. And if and again, this is a piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
So I am also always happy and willing to help refer you to other professionals and practitioners that can help you have that holistic care plan.
Sure.
Because it is all the pieces coming together that we are going for here. So I love y'all so much, and
Thank
thanks for
you.
tuning in.